The 12th of June, Rabbi Furst, Pierke Avos, conversion of Ruth.
Good morning, Barry. Good morning, Roy. How's
Good morning.
everyone?
Baruch Hashem.
Good morning,
Okay.
Barry.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning.
Okay, good morning, Shabbat Tov. Good morning. This is Rabbi Shlomo Furst here, Yeshiva Samanafti, here in Yerushalayim, care of Zoom, and we are now continuing our learning of the Tzitzi Eliezer and Megillas Ruth to find out when, where, and how Ruth, in fact, converted. We see that we just learned last week the Zohar, quotes the Zohar, that's clear from the Zohar that Ruth had been misguided at the time of her original marriage. We'll put that on the screen momentarily, then we can continue. Okay.
Rabbi?
Okay.
Rabbi,
Yes, Lou.
are we going to discuss that article that Roy sent?
And we'll see. Let's finish this first. We'll do one thing at a time.
Okay.
We'll see, possibly. Okay, let's continue here. We're at the paragraph starting with Eladiyesh Hare Leon Halan Mevor. Right there where you have your see the little red dot there, that little halo.
Got it.
Okay, good. Who would like to do some reading to begin with today?
I'll read.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Lou. Go ahead if you like.
Hooray, Lanu, Mivoar, Ba'or,
Be'er Hativ, Be'er Hativ.
Be'er Hativ.
Right. That here we have explained clearly very well in the Zohar HaKodesh and in the Zohar. It's explained to us very clearly.
Oh, Be'er Hativ is the Zohar?
No, Be'er Hativ is explained very well.
Oh, explained well. Explained. Oh, the Zohar, in the Zohar.
Right. That's right.
Chadash. Kechol ha-chazion asher chaza asher piresh bezeh Baal ha-Evan Ezra. Okay, so that everything, what is this ha-chazion?
That's the we see in the Kol HaChazion Asher Chaza Asher Perish, but we see the whole situation as it was as it was seen and the way it was explained there in the by Ibn Ezra. From the Zohar, we see a clear picture of the situation. That in fact they were misguided before they got married originally.
Who wrote the Zohar?
Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai.
The key, I don't know this abbreviation.
Ki chas v'sholom, heaven forbid. Chas v'sholom.
Chas v'shalom. Delo yischein. That it should not be his intention.
the low you tuck in, it can't be, it's impossible. Like, you shouldn't, it can't be possible.
K'lishono shel Ibn Ezra. That this is what the Ibn Ezra said.
Right, and that's what the Chavenes said. Has to show them. You can't say that. Heaven forbid, has to show them that they married goyas. You can't say that they married goyas. Barry, it's completely impossible. They couldn't have married goyas.
But that's not a proof.
No, but
That's not a proof. That's like saying, could it be possible that Yaakov didn't wear a yarmulke?
no. So
It's not
yeah,
a
but
proof.
that's very good. But now they have this. They have the Zohar that says that they were Mizgaya beforehand. So you can't argue with that now. When the Ebenezer said, "Has to show them," you can't say they married goyas. So you have your question, right? Where did you get this from? So now he's telling you he's getting it from the Zohar. If the Zohar says they were Mizgaya, that's the fact. If you don't believe the Zohar, so who you going to believe? Who should Elionovi come and tell you that they were Mizgaya? Who's
No, but does Rashi hold by that?
we know that Rashi doesn't hold like that. What did Rashi now? But now the kasha on Rashi, the kasha is not on the Ibn Ezra. But the situation's reversed now. Now you're in retreat. You're retreating, Barry. You're in retreat.
Why? Because the Zohar is predates Rashi.
For sure. Yeah.
Man darf verstanden the Zohar.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. But now we're in retreat. We were on the march before. Now we're in retreat.
Now we're out of our comfort zone.
That's one way to put it.
Uh-oh.
So let's see how we have to see how we're going to reconcile this. Let's see.
Shenish'a mechalon vir'os v'haya goya. What is Shenish'a?
The Nisa, he got married when that Has v'Sholem, heaven forbid to say that Nisa Mechalon, when she got married to Chalon, Ruth was a Goya. You can't now that you have the Zohar on your side, you can't say, and you have proof now that you can't say that she was a Goya when she got married to Machlon.
But how do you answer that Naomi was going to send her away? She wouldn't be able to do that if she was already Megaya.
Okay, well, that's going to be a question that's going to have to be addressed. You're right. All right. But the Zohar, they asked the question in the Zohar. That's what we saw over here, right?
Zohar? No.
Yeah.
What is this abbreviation?
That Begam ki ha Zohar Chodesh, right? That's the Zohar Chodesh, right? That's what he's going to say now. The Zohar Chodesh explains that also.
Be'er or Be'or Kones HaPasuk Shel Hana Sheba Yivmatach El Ama Ve'elohim. So, and also, when the Zohar, what is Be'or?
Explained, right? The Zohar also explains this pasuk, Barry, that you're worried about is what the Zohar itself came to explain. They knew they had to explain that pasuk. That's right.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. I'll be patient. I'll wait.
kones pasuk, the verse acquires. What's kones?
That kavanah, supposedly the intention, kavanah, the kavanah of the pasuk.
intention of the verse.
Right.
Shall hana.
Shall shehine shaba. This is the quote. Hine shaba yamasech es elamah. That look, Naomi was telling, look, Ruth, look, your sister-in-law went back to her people and to her gods. Follow
Shuvi
her.
acharei. Shuvi acharei.
That's right. Exactly.
So he's going to deal with that?
I hope so. We'll see. Let's see what
Okay.
he's. How could she? That was the whole question we've been asking from the beginning. How can Naomi suggest to Ruth, if she was misguided, to go back?
Right.
Kafi the heir oso Ibn Ezer. And how does the Ibn Ezer explain this?
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
He mipasuch zeh, and since from this verse, hochcha she nisgaira. What is hocha that we know?
It's no hochacha. Hochacha is a proof. It's a proof. From this pasuk is a proof.
It proves that they were converted. The arpa kazara lisor chana, and Orpah returned lisor chana. I don't know what that is.
That means to her, return to her wayward ways. She turned to her wayward ways. And from what is written, it's mevur. It's clear. The Zohar Kodesh. It's clear from what's written. That's what's in the Zohar Kodesh.
The mashma.
Right. That it's.
From this we understand.
From this, from what's written in the Zohar Kodesh, it's similar to what was written above. The lechein piprika Naomi Agiro son Harishona. It's a statement which is showing that Naomi was not convinced about their first conversion. She was going through so the answer, Barry, is why did Naomi suggest to Ruth she should return and follow after her sister-in-law who left? Because at this point Naomi was not convinced that the original conversion was authentic. So we see she was testing Ruth.
Is there any way of interpreting what Naomi said as a question? Would you like to return?
No, because it's a
No,
command.
I'm asking the rabbi.
I mean, what if we did? What would we get? How would we gain if it was a question?
Then that would be sort of like a test, and she would, and if they were converted, that would be okay to ask it as a question. I mean, if she wasn't happy, if Naomi wasn't happy, then with the conversion, then it would be like saying, "You sure you want to stay with us? Perhaps you'd like to return."
Well, the the question that's been based on this statement that Naomi is, if in fact they were converted previously, you can't suggest to a convert that they should leave, right?
Right.
Right. So
Yeah.
so if it would be like a question, and if as he's teaching us now, that if it was a question because Naomi was testing her to see if her original commitment still exists in the same strength as it originally was, meaning we have to determine for ourselves, Naomi was thinking, was Ruth's original commitment a full, authentic, strong commitment? So making a suggestion that she should go back, look, see what your daughter, look what your sister-in-law did. She went back, right? Are you interested in doing the same, right?
Mm.
So that would be a test of how resolved Ruth was, and that would be a reflection on how honest and authentic her original decision was.
Mm.
So you
But-
could learn it as being not necessarily definitive that she had to have been not converted before. She could have been converted before, but as they mentioned before earlier, it could be that there was certain reasonable doubts about the authenticity of the original conversion. So now she was being tested again to see if she's really staunch in her commitment.
But also the pasuk says it's in the imperative. It says shuvi. It's not a question. It's a declarative. She's telling her to go back.
Right.
Right. So there's no question here. She's saying shuvi. She says you should go back. I'm telling you, go back.
Thank you, thank you.
Right, because it could be that if in fact that Naomi was of the opinion that the original conversion was invalid, right? So now she has a right to tell her to go get lost. She's telling her to get lost because I don't think your
Right.
original commitment was valid.
Mhm.
So that way you could possibly explain it that way.
Why was Naomi not sure of the validity of the conversion?
So that's not clear, right? Why did she have suspicions, right? I'm not sure.
What is Naomi not sure of? Is she not sure of Ruth's sincerity, or is she not sure that the process was not done properly?
More likely than not, I'd explain that the process was not done properly, meaning there were reasons to think that number one, there wasn't a base in, number two, they didn't have this halacha that a Moabite could marry, in fact, right? So there could be questions about the actual validity of it, the technical validity of it,
Okay.
all right?
Rabbi, on the previous line where it says, Zeh chochacha, you translated that as proof.
Right.
It's a proof that she converted. What is a proof that she converted?
What the Zohar had said. The Zohar had said there was a clearly stated statement of the Zohar that she had been misguided, and the pasuk that Naomi was suggesting that Ruth return after and go after her sister-in-law back to her old ways is also a proof. You would be used as a proof if Naomi was in fact testing Ruth to see if her original commitment was authentic. So this could be used as a proof that she in fact had converted.
Excuse me, a simpler explanation, it was 10 years they lived in Moab, okay? Now conditions have changed, they're going back. So she's checking out. Well, things are changed, you're going out. Do you really want to continue? that's a pretty normal reaction from Naomi. And when everything was status quo, no questions. Now that there's a major change going back to Eretz Israel, Canaan, are you sure you still want to stay with that Sarah? To me, that seems very logical and simple to understand.
Right, correct. The only question that's been raised is that if in fact that it was a full-fledged conversion, it doesn't help. There's no turning back. Once a ger converts, there's no turning back, right? There's no re-verification of the original gerus.
Did Naomi know that? Maybe Naomi was not aware of that.
No,
Possible.
Naomi knew that there were technical difficulties in the original gerus, right? So there were technical. So Naomi could be foreseeing the situation as follows, right? Based on what you said, Rabbi, Naomi knows now they're returning to Eretz Israel. They're going to re-enter the Jewish people, right? And we know the Jewish people are very sometimes very strict about who they let in and who they associate with. And now Naomi's coming with this Ruth, Myovis, and so she wants to give Ruth the heads up that, listen, I know that there was some type of conversion that was made when you originally married Machlon, her son, but you should realize that that not everyone is going to be so happy with this original gerus that you had, right? There are going to be some post-game Rosh Yeshivas that are not going to have. They're going to say, look, it says the Moabites can't come into the Jewish house. You can't marry. And there are going to be people that are going to be questioning you. So it could be that they're going to have to reconvert you. So I want you to know right now, are you really committed? Are you okay? You were committed then. I agree. That's good. Very nice. And we did what we could. We were in Moab all by ourselves, but that's not going to hold water when we get back to Eretz Israel, Eretz Kedosha. So I want you to reconfirm for me that you're still firm and staunch in your commitment, because you're going to have to face a cross-examination when you come to Eretz Israel.
Right, because how could the Zohar say that it was a conversion? Because at that time, it was not known that a female Moabite could marry into the right. It could marry into the could marry a Jew.
Well,
so you know, it's like,
again, don't forget, the Zohar asked a very basic question, right? Right. Rabbi Padas asked Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Yossi, the Ish Socho, he asked, listen, Ruth is called Ruth, right? That's her name, right?
yeah. Okay.
Now we know when a person's misguided, they get a new name, right?
Mm-hmm.
So tell me, Ruth was her Jewish name or a Goyish name?
Legitimate question.
That's the Zohar's question. That's the Zohar. The Tanoim are asking that question. Right?
Well, what's the shorish of Ruth? I mean, is it a Hebrew name?
It doesn't matter. She was called from the very second pasuk in the Megillah. She was called Ruth to the very end of the last time she's mentioned. She's called Ruth throughout, right?
Yeah.
It said Ruth married Machlon, right?
Yeah.
And it said Ruth came with my own Eretz Israel. And it said that Boaz took Ruth, right? She was Ruth at the beginning, she was Ruth in the middle, she was Ruth at the end, right?
Yep.
So if you're going to go along with the assumption that that was her Jewish name, right? So she was a Jew when she started, she was Jew in the middle, and she was Jew when she finished up. So it must be that she converted somewhere along the line, way back when. Because otherwise, you're going to have a name change somewhere around here, right, Barry?
So what? Yeah. So she was converted. So we have to say then that she got converted when they first met.
That's right. That's right. Obviously, without a doubt, like the Ebenezer says, has to show him Machlon is going to marry a Goya. Machlon, a Jewish boy, gonna marry a Goya? You know, what you're talking, not talking about somewhere in St. Louis, Bisman Hazeh, right?
Uh,
You're talking
Instead
about
of a,
what?
Rabbi, instead of a goy, you call her a shiksa. That's a more demonstrative name.
Okay.
You don't marry a
Well,
shiksa.
Shiksa is not a good name to use, Aaron, because it comes from the root of a bug or a rat. It's a negative connotation. It's better to say.
Nobody knows that, and it's used all over America by from people.
It's well known.
In any
I-
event,
I never knew it.
it's anyway. It's been used. Whether you should use it or not, that we're not going to get into that discussion right now.
Right.
So, but anyway, she was called Ruth when the pasuk says when she was married Machlon, she was called Ruth. So if that's a Jewish name, if that's the same name she got married to with Boaz, on the Kasuba she got for Boaz it said Ruth, and on the Kasuba she got from Machlon it said Ruth. So that must be a Jewish name, no?
As I mentioned once before that I read, and I also said then that I've forgotten where and how and all that, but that she did have a name change, and they told us her original name. And I just don't remember. I really can't remember what it was. All I remember is that I read that.
That's Gullis. I think her name was Gullis. 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 In now, so that's
Well,
that's how the Zohar begins. That's how the Zohar begins, and the Zohar is as he's presenting to us. The Zohar is a clear support for the stand of the Ibn Ezra that Ruth, in fact, was converted before she married Machlon. Now, it doesn't say there that it's in the light of Naomi's return to Eretz Israel. It could be that Naomi is now reevaluating the situation because now if that conversion is going to have to stand up against the scrutiny, as I said, of the people in Eretz Israel, and whether or not it's going to stand up is a doubt. So on the suffix that perhaps maybe there's going to have to be a new conversion, all right? Let's say the old conversion is deemed invalid. So if Ruth is still committed to joining the Jewish people, so she can reconvert, right? That's okay, nothing wrong with that. The first one was invalid, so we'll make a new one. But in light of that fact, it's well worthwhile understanding and presenting this situation to Ruth and getting a full commitment from now. Just so she shouldn't be disappointed or come to a situation where she'll admit to the truth, perhaps, that she doesn't really want to go with this. If, like Harper said, okay, right? You say my original conversion was invalid. Okay, so I'll just go back to what I want to do, and that it was nice being a pseudo Jew for a few years, and now I'll go back to being a full-fledged Goya.
Wouldn't you, Rebbe, wouldn't you think that Naomi would know Ruth's sincerity because they were together for 10 years? You can't fake it for 10 years.
Yeah, but okay, there's no question about it. But you know when you're I remember I saw a film of paratroopers, Barry, right? Paratroopers.
Mm-hmm.
And the filming was taking place at the hatch that was open, and they were jumping out one after the other, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now I have no doubt that every paratrooper, he had how many months of years of training to be a paratrooper. He's probably done it before. He got onto that plane. They were taking him up 20,000 feet in the sky, right? But nevertheless, there's still a sergeant there kicking them out of the window, right? There's still a sergeant kicking him out of the window. Why? Because when it comes to the moment of truth, right? people can choke sometimes when it comes to the moment of truth. So you're right. As Ruth was with Naomi for 10 years, and she was a loyal and devoted daughter-in-law, and there was absolutely no question about her desire and commitment and loyalty and love. But nevertheless, when she's going to now be faced with a new situation of strangers, of Jewish people in Eretz Israel, and they may not always be so kind to her as Naomi is, and they may not be also so friendly to strangers, and especially in the light of that, not everyone was knowledgeable, and it wasn't even a halacha yet. That Moavis, right, and Moavi below Moavis, right. So she was, getting ready to jump out of the plane. So you need a little bit of a cross-examination. It's time to take stock and to reevaluate the situation. And are you really willing to go through with this? It's valid.
But we already established that it's okay to explain that they were converted, because we learned before that a Moabite woman could convert. They just can't marry a Jewish man.
Right.
Right.
That's right.
Okay.
Correct.
That's what we
Correct.
learned.
That's
Okay.
right. That's clear. Correct. Direct.
That's clear. So how could they have this wedding ceremony in Moab? It's not acceptable. It was not permitted at that time, in that time frame. It was not permitted. It was not known.
Okay.
So how could it transpire? How could it happen?
Right. Okay. But that's a different question. There's two questions. One, right? Was she Jewish when she got married? Right. And number two, how could she get married? The question is, how could she get married? Let's say maybe the marriage was invalid. Okay, fine. She could be converted legally, technically speaking, right?
Right.
Maybe not, but maybe not with the hextra dots, with all the hidur, not mahad. Maybe it wasn't a mahadrim and a mahadrim conversion, but there was some kind of conversion there, right?
Yeah.
In terms of the wedding, so the wedding could be that was not so kosher. Could be there was not so kosher. Okay, so what? If it wasn't, so what's the big deal? She's not going to marry. She can't marry a Kohen anyway, so it doesn't matter if she was married or not anyway.
Can I have a cup of coffee at your convenience, please?
Let's continue. Let's move off here.
The
L'chein, at the end of the
Pak. Naami al Gerusan ha Rishona. So and it turns out that what is this word pak?
Okay, l'chein, and therefore, l'chein is therefore. Pak is to have doubts, to be suspicious.
Okay, so therefore, Naomi was in doubt concerning the first conversion.
Right, it could
This
be.
word harishonah, does that imply that there's a second conversion?
Yeah, definitely so, right? There was if you understand that there was a first conversion, so there's going to have to be a second conversion afterwards. So it could be what sparked Naomi's suspicions is the fact that Orpah left. The fact is Orpah's leaving, so Orpah's she's not following through with her commitment. So maybe Ruth is not going to be any better.
So is that what when it says therefore? Is that what it's referring to? The fact that Orpah left?
It's not clear. It could be. It's not clear. But the way it's being written here, from this pasuk, it's proven that there was a conversion, and Orpah now returned to her wayward ways. Moshe Bazar brings it, okay? And therefore that what raised the suspicions in Naomi's eyes that she wanted now to verify the commitment of Ruth as well.
But that begs the question. All we have to do now is say, well, we have the same question of why she encouraged Orpah to leave.
That again, it's not definitive that you would have to interpret that statement as an encouragement for her to leave. You could interpret the statement as a statement of fact that Orpah has left.
But prior to that pasuk, she says to both of them, she says, go back.
Right.
So by saying that since Orpah left, she was suspicious of Ruth, well, why was she suspicious in the first place before Orpah left? Why did she say go back?
Because there's two aspects. One is the technical validity of the conversion, number one, technical validity, and also the authenticity of the commitment. There are two things: the technical validity, and secondly, the authenticity of the commitment.
Okay.
So there was always, Naomi had in her mind, there was always a technical difficulty with the conversion. The only saving grace could be is if there would be a true, authentic commitment. If there would be a true, authentic commitment, so then we can redo the gears and make up for any technical fallacies in the original conversion. But if there's no authentic commitment, then it doesn't help to do a second gears. Doesn't help to do a second conversion at all.
Okay, so when it says, therefore she had a doubt, we're saying, well, she had a doubt because she had a doubt of the technical details of the conversion.
Now, I think the way I understand it, I don't have any clear proofs for this, but I understand it is Naomi always understood there was a technical difficulty with the conversion. Okay, this is not really a bona fide 100% conversion. Okay, there were difficulties. Okay, they knew there was no based in. There were things, but they both for 10 years, as Barry mentioned, like as the pasuk says, for 10 years they were living happily ever after with Naomi, right? Why? What are they sticking around here for 10 years? You know, they're after all, like they're at this point. Ruth is 40 years old. I don't know if Orpah was older or younger, if they were twin sisters, I don't know. But Ruth was 40 years old, right? So there's a big difference for a woman between 30 years old and she became a widow at 30 years old. And now it's 10 years later. It's a big difference for a woman to be a widow at 30 years old and be a widow at 40 years old, right? They wasted 10 years of their life, right? Even Orpah, what did she waste 10 years of her life doing? When she likes matzo ball soup so much.
It's also a little unusual that a Moabite princess would be unmarried at the age of 30. They were getting married when they were 12 years old in those days. So it's just not the regular chronology for her to be unmarried and without children at the age of 30. It's unheard of.
Yeah, definitely. I can't explain why they were not married previously. I mean, I'm sure there were plenty of people who would like to marry the queen, the king's daughters, right? I saw today in a sefer they actually weren't direct daughters. They were, I think, granddaughters, if I'm not mistaken, them granddaughters. So that makes it a little bit easier. You know.
So when it says in Megillus Ruth, Rebbe, it says Lechna.
Right.
Shuvna, is that a imperative or is that a request?
Usually Lashon no, right? We had that in this past week's parsha.
Right,
Lashon no is always a Lashon bakasha.
of a question.
Yeah, well, it's a request. It's a
A
request.
request, right? But it's not the same as when she says shvi,
Right.
right? Shvi is stronger.
That's right. Correct.
Mhm.
Okay, let's try and finish this paragraph.
Mipnei she'az bechazakas Amos be'ulan amdo.
Right. That look, he says like this. The kach pikpuk Naomi al Gerusan Harishon. Therefore, Naomi, when she saw that Orpah had returned back, now Naomi had doubts about the original conversion. Sha'az beheskes Amos Bailan Amda. That at that time, meaning at that time when they were originally converted, they had the fear, Amos, the fear of Baalan, of their husbands, Amda. They were in a situation of fearfulness from their husbands. They could have said to themselves, well, we better convert because we don't want these Jewish guys getting angry at us. Hainu, he explains, Hainu, that means, therefore, Dim Cain, if so.
V'hainu de'im kain. Therefore, if so, yesh lechush shelo nis gairu. What is lechush?
That there is to be concerned.
There is to be concerned that they didn't convert. As believe shalem, with a full heart.
Right. One of the primary requirements of conversion is it has to be authentic. It has to be an authentic conversion. Right. There can't be any other ulterior motives. That's one of the first things that they look for in the base dinim about the people who want to convert. They have to try and determine if this is an honest conversion or are they doing it for some ulterior motive.
Like getting married.
Yeah, like getting married, right?
So, so right there, you see that to get married to this wealthy little Jewish boy, it doesn't seem to make it so kosher.
Right.
Right. I mean, usually they don't like to do conversions because the Jewish boy wants to marry a non-Jewish girl.
Right.
Right. They discourage that very much.
Yeah. I guess it depends on the time sequencing. When did they meet? How did they meet? What's their intention here?
Uvedumia, uvedome, lama, she matzinu, betosim.
That's betosos in the Avodah Zarah daf nun zayin amid base. Ad tiksha. I'm not sure. I'd have to look at the Tosus there and to see what he's referring to. He's just bringing a proof to what he's saying based on the Tosus.
Okay, but so what is this? The Vidome Lama.
That's Tosef Daf Nun Zayin Amid Beis Dibra Maskal Ad Titikshcha.
Right, but I'm asking before that, Rabbi, before the reference.
Yeah.
When it after Belev Shalem, it says Uvdome.
It's bedoime. It's similar to what is found in Tosus.
Okay, got it. She kosvim Bekis as gabe avad. De'ema rabu alav ve'eno misgayer belev shalem u kafi she matzayin al kach le linchon beperush nitzotzi zahar sham. Wow.
Say that as it said over here, what Tosa says, Shekosvin Bikazois Gabi Evid. That's written in relationship to an Evid. What Tosa is talking about is referring to an Evid. The Aimis Rabolav, the Eno Misgaya Belev Shalom. What Tosa is saying there with it by an Evid, if you have an Evid that's going to be converting, you have to doubt the authenticity of his conversion because he has the fear of his master upon him, that he's fearful of displeasing his master. So it could be he's not really interested in being his Gaia, but since he doesn't want to disappoint or upset his master, the Evid will convert and say he wants to convert anyway. Right? So it's his misgaya, eno misgaya belev shalom. He's not being converted with a true heart. And from what we see from here, it seems to fit into the explanations of the Zohar that we have quoted previously. Okay.
So in other words, the situation with Ruth and Arpa is similar to the situation with a slave, because the slave has a fear of his master, and they had fear of their husbands.
Right. Right. Okay. Let's see. It's still almost 10 up to 10. All right. So we're in this paragraph. We're going to start the paragraph tomorrow. Ella de yesh la'ayin. Okay.
I don't think your clock is right. Mine says it's 10 of 10.
10 of 10, right? 10 to 10, right? 10 to 10. That's right. Time to stop.
Okay.
Take a break.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
time for a break. Roy, have a good afternoon.
You too, be well, all of you. Thank you very much.
All right.
Dr. Furst.
Mr. Shah, we'll take a break and continue with the Mr. Brewis here in a few moments, Mr. Shah.